How's everybody doing?
Great.
Awesome. Good to be here. You guys, time is valuable. I know that it is, and being here is extraordinarily important. At least I know you're going to get something out of it. So thanks for being here. Victories, wins, gratitudes. What do we have out there? Evan.
We took a listing at $750,000.
Nice. What's your source?
What was that?
What's your source?
Well, just training here, getting it.
Was it a FISBO? What is it?
FISBO.
Oh, nice. Good. So calling for sell by owners works.
And then I picked up 2 buyers.
Nice.
Woo, good job.
Dave, I seen you, and then we'll be back to Tim. Did you raise your hand?
No.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
put 2 listings under contract this week.
Sweet. Nice.
Thank you.
The reason we come into work, right?
Right?
Yes. Who else? Yes.
Last week, my husband said that, like, he just had a feeling that good stuff was gonna happen that day.
Love
And
it.
so every day, basically, he's asking me, like, send him whatever the good thing is. And it becomes really easy to see how many good things there are when you're looking for the good thing.
Right.
So it's been a really cool mindset change for us both together. At the start of the year, my kids focusing on that too. And I just think it's been really fun every day to be like, what's the cool thing that happened, you know, or
I love that.
multiple cool things, or you send one and then something better, even better comes along later in the day, and it's just kind of a fun.
Yeah, focus on what's exciting, right? My new thing is to try to ask people instead of how are you, what's exciting? How are you is causing them to lie sometimes. Because it's not always good, but we default to, oh, I'm good. Really? Even you know they're not, they're like, oh, I'm good. So what's exciting actually turns your mind to something that may be exciting, right? So maybe try that, because it is focusing on the positive side of life, correct? So, any others? Gratitudes, victories, wins? Phil?
I have a very special guest with me.
Yes, I met her yesterday.
Everybody's heard of the man behind the curtain?
Yeah.
This is the Wizard of Oz.
This
This
is
is
the wizard.
the woman behind the curtain. This is our fabulous in-house underwriter.
Love it. Welcome.
Cynthia DeYoung, and she's outstanding. Her motto is, I want to find a way to say yes, which we love as an underwriter. And she just wanted to get a flavor of how things roll here and get to meet some of you guys as well.
A little energetic at times, huh?
I told her, you're going to get blown away.
Yeah.
It is that point though. It's fun to just watch. Thank you, Cynthia, for being here.
Yes.
Great to have you here. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun just with the fact of just slowly but surely of just the growth that's happened within Spiro. It just brings all these other tools. I mean,
Exciting.
It's exciting. I mean, in all the years I've been in this building, there's never been an in-house situation, no matter who's been here.
This has been really exciting. Phil, how long have we hoped for this scenario?
About 15 years.
About 15 years. So,
We've only been in business for 10.
yeah. It's been a long time coming.
It's right. He had a dream.
Yeah, he had a dream. So, announcements. Elevate, or Everest Cell Systems, Elevate 2020, February 4th through the 6th. Get with Judy, Lindsay, some of these people. This is going to be something extraordinarily exciting. It's the very core reason why I joined Everest. Century 21 Everest. It gets to the core and the heart of everything we are and what we do to become successful. Now, you ask, well, how's that happen? How do you tell? How do you tell what works? By the results. We're number 1 for 4 years running. This band's going to put that on in a 3-day event.
2.5 days.
2.5. I always oversell them.
Yeah,
I'm a realtor.
By the way, it's Taylor. Because he said, I knew he was going to do this when Dylan called him, and he'd be like, no, I can't go.
Yeah, that's right.
He
Dylan's
goes,
at
what are you
his
doing?
out.
Something
So,
else.
Really?
so Dylan will be. Nice, Nikki. Love that.
Actually, you know what? Last night, she ended up, by the way, the things were just posted. Tina Hare ended up being the #1 agent in the world. For small teams.
Wow. Again.
You know, she went from, I met her when I started coaching her, she was 900, then she went 1.8, 2.1. Last year she earned 2.6. This year she's already on track. She's taking a listing every day this year.
Huh.
And she's on track. Her goal is 3.2 million.
Wow.
Anyway, she's going to come. I know some of you have seen her, but she's coming to the event. She's like, I will be there.
Wow. You're the #1 agent in the world.
Who is selling that many products. And I think it's interesting, even though she's a small team, she touches every deal. her business is very similar to like a Brian Burnett's, where like every deal is touched by them. I don't know how scalable that is, you know, when she wants to do more. We've talked about that, but it's interesting that out of the 148 homes she sold, she essentially touched every single one.
148 deals, really?
Yeah, and Brian was right around the same, you know, 150, and he ended up
Extraordinary.
being number 3. We had the number 3 and number 4 agents in the world for Century 21 as individual agents, which was Brian and then Debbie Gates in California.
Man, fascinating. So good things are happening. Show up to Elevate. One other thing I want
One more
to.
thing on those 3 people.
Yes.
When I met them 3 years ago, 3.5 years
felt like the
ago,
weather
Debbie
lady.
Gates, she was earning $500,000. She made $1.6 million last year.
Holy cow.
I next week I meet with her and her husband. We're going to have a little coaching session. I just think it's interesting how much you really underestimate what you can do.
I agree with that. Agreed.
I was looking at the wall. I don't want to look at anybody. I'm just saying that to everybody.
No, it's true. You can always step up one step higher, even with busted knees.
When you get a call from Dylan, just say yes.
Yes. Just say
Because
yes.
this is what happens. I said, I want to know everyone who says no so I can call them and go, really?
Okay. That being said, I also want to point out that Inspiro has a CRM that they're willing to co-brand with you, because we got this new SOI push that we're having. Every one of you should be putting 100 people into your SOI. So if you don't have something like that, Inspiro's been willing to go ahead and step up with what they have and co-brand with you. So contact them if you need something like that. So Ruby's doing the book club this week. What I wish I knew when I was 20. So make sure you attend that. So with that being said, George, it's all yours.
Let's roll. All right, we're going to just pick up where we were. I hope I wasn't able to be here yesterday morning, but hopefully Summit was okay.
Oh, it was great.
Good.
Great.
I didn't know you were up here. You snuck in on us. How are you?
I've been here the whole
All
time.
right. Well, yeah, did you walk in with her?
No, she was there.
She was already. Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's my
Snuck
massive
in.
stature.
That's right. You were shadowed by a few. All right. So, how's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good. All right. Well, good to be with you. We're gonna talk about questions, but I want to talk about something that I have found very always interesting just in our business in general. I would arguably say like just simply and entirely in life. And that is that, you know, there's this idea, right? We'll hear, you know, fake it till you make it, right? There's that whole idea. You can fake it till you make it. That is always been an interesting thing to me, because the reality is that if you just behind the scenes were that person when you're, in so many words, on stage or in the presentation or with the buyer, with the seller, you're just going to be that person. So I remember years ago, and it's a leader in the company. And I remember when we were in our early stages of 2 or 3 years in the company, and the individual came up and said to me, well, yeah, I mean, this is really just like a kind of like a dog and pony show. I mean, this isn't like really like real life. And I was so offended by that statement, I can't even begin to tell you. And it was, by the way, Tim, it was when we were over on 6700 South over there on 13th East way back in the day. And I was so offended by the statement. And the reason I was so offended was that they really believe that the affirmations and everything were just that I'm not really into that. And I find it interesting, like not only affirmations, but, you know, maybe it's the Tony Robbins statement, maybe it's, you know, whatever. But it seems to be that the greatest minds of our day are always about the management of the story in which we tell ourselves. And some of us are telling ourselves an extraordinary story and we're having extraordinary success. But it's the question, and even though a few days ago Sam was giving Ken's a hard time because she had a question up there. You know, but the main question was, who do I have to be? And that question is always a question that if you're ever going to excel, right? Who do you have to be? Like, let's just say, like, this is the question, like, just so you know, the end game for Tina Hare is that last night we talked for 34 minutes, and she said, I can see the light of like how I can really do $5 million a year. But the question that I kept posing to her for so many years now has been, who do you have to be to earn blank dollars? And it seems like a simple question, but I just hope that as we move, we're going to get into these questions, but so much of our questions have to do with really the refinement of who we're becoming. And you know, depending on maybe where you're coming, because I always in my mind I'm thinking from an eternal perspective. I just am. I'm thinking, man, at the end of the day, all the money, the wealth, the achievement, the acquiring of this, the acquiring of that. Look at my nice car. Look, I mean, it is all great. But from the eternal perspective of my life, I sit there and think, man, what's most important at the end of this day will never ever be the amount of money I earned, what I acquired. Yes, it will be two things, the people that I help and the person that I've become. And my observation is that when I look back and ask that question I always pose to you guys, which is, how will you know your life is a success? It is always based on the fact of looking back. If I was like, you know, here I am 90, let's say I'm 90 years old, and I look back over 90 years, how will I know my life was a success? Will it be based on the amount of money I earn? Maybe, but the amount of money that I earn has so much to do with maybe the way in which I was able to help people. So I just think that so often we're putting limitations, and we're in a business specifically where most of the limitations are self-inflicted, or they are things that people put upon us, not really what we truly are or could be. So I just would encourage you to just really pay attention to what you're saying about yourself. What are you telling yourself about yourself? And I think with all of that, it really brings a different energy. And so I go back to like the dog and pony show. Well, is it? Right? Don't I want to live a life of integrity? Don't I want to love the fact that I love to prospect because I get to bless lives, help people, help them live their dreams, help enough people get what they want, I get what I want. It seems like, it may seem like common sense, but the rituals that we have, the patterns within our lives are so much about that story. And I know I talked about that at the summit, but don't underestimate it. You have to master the story. That's what it's all about. You master the story. If you can't see yourself visually, if I talk about the extremes, because it's extreme, it's an extremist type of behavior to say, I'm going to go earn $5 million and actually believe it. Or I'm going to go earn $1 million and I'm going to believe it. But part of the belief is that, man, once you really define what you want, just allow the universe at some level to catch up to what you finally decided you were going to do. We get in such the habit, again, I just want to reiterate, in the habit of changing your goal, reducing your expectations, lowering what you could do because either it seems difficult, doesn't happen fast enough, someone tells you it can't be done. You know, you look for evidence that shows you, yep, this isn't going to work. I don't know how it's going to happen. And we start filtering all of these goals, dreams, behaviors, amount of listings we can take, buyers we can sell, and just those limitations are deafening in regards to helping you succeed what you ultimately want your life to be. Right? I mean, if we're talking about health, if you can start seeing the vision of what your body looks like when it's in that perfected state. Kind of like you, right, Taylor? In that perfected state of awesomeness. Right?
Thank you, George.
I'm just, you know.
Nikki and Lila don't agree, but thank you.
I know, right? But my point is that, look, you have to see it. The thing is if you see yourself, and I hate to say this, but if you see yourself overweight, well, then that's because you see yourself overweight, so therefore you're overweight. If you see yourself differently, you won't be. It doesn't matter. It could be weight, it could be your income, it could be your relationships. It is still, how do you see it? Because once you see something different, you'll change things. But once you accept what is, like what you see, or just what's happened, or the way the wind blew that day, or you know where you were tossed to, right? It's just, that's what you'll be. So just don't settle. Don't accept like, well, that's just how I am. Those are not healthy for someone who's really wanting to excel and do something extraordinary. So with that, I haven't brought this up, but I want to talk about this. Why I was bringing up the whole idea of, like people said, that dog and pony show is don't underestimate that what you're doing behind the scenes, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're saying regarding your story of your life, you know, what you're watching, who you spend your time with. Don't ignore those, and then believe that, hey, I'm not really into that. I'm not a reader. Look, readers are readers. If you're not reading, if you're not watching the right stuff, if you're not spending time doing the right stuff, if you're doing things that are so out of alignment with what you're supposed to be when you show up for the presentation, it doesn't matter. I go back to my statement that if your presence is not getting you what you want, your words won't either. You can say all the most perfected words, but people in their gut know whether they're true or not. So if all of a sudden you're the guy or gal who's kind of like kicking the dog when no one's looking, and then you go out and have a big shining smiling face and act like you're the best person in the world, and well, I'm saying all the right things, you can manipulate a few, but you will never do grand things living a double standard life. So the reason why is that whole thing about, integrity. It's not because it's a religious thing. It's not because someone said the truth. I mean, we all have heard this before, no matter where we've come. The truth shall what? Set you free. It's not even a religious thing. It's the fact that when you live a life of truth and integrity, you become free. You're liberated to live. That's why I always say, decide what you believe and live it. And I'm all for it on a personal level. As long as you are personally growing and you have the opportunity to contribute to another human being, you are living an extraordinary life. Contribution, growth, decide what you believe and live it. The problem is that once in a while you're changing what you believe every 5 seconds, then there's never a sure path of your integrity. And if you want to elevate confidence to what you talked about a few days ago, and you brought it up, I was talking about how do you become fulfilled. It was growth, contribution. Confidence is built, and just as a side note, and John brought it up, but is number one is if you want to be confident, then be in a constant state of gratitude. And if you can't be grateful, I'm telling you, it's almost next to impossible to remain in a place of confidence. Number two is you have to know, let's just put here where you're going. You've got to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, it is impossible to drive with confidence. So every listing appointment is, I am here to take the listing. When I get on a phone, the number one objective is not to meet a friend. Your number one objective is not to just to get to know people. Your number one objective when you get on a phone or knock on a door is what? Set an appointment. And then the problem, Nikki, is that people then want to pre-qualify. In fact, Judy and I were talking about this as we were designing and refining scripts and dialogues. We were talking about, look, the script to set an appointment is not about qualifying the appointment. And it's not. Because if you have double objectives, like chasing two jackrabbits, you're never going to catch either of them. So you have to say, what is my objective? What is my summit? Where am I going? Every time I get on the phone, I used to do this. I would say, I set an appointment, I would hit my chest every time I get on the phone. Every time. Because I want to remind myself, Taylor, that when I got on the phone, I had one objective, not to be people's friends, not to just help people, set the appointment. And some of you get on the call or get on a phone or go knock on a door and go, well, I'm just, whatever happens, it's cool. And then we get down, and then it goes into, well, I don't really like this, or I remember you and I talked about this, Joanna. Well, I thought I was, kind of past that point of I didn't need to ever prospect. I thought it all was going to come to me. And she, we had a little bark back and forth to each other, and we got into it a little bit. We've known each other for years, but I'm like, I'm not going to accept the fact that you're above that. You're not. It doesn't matter whether it's your sphere. I don't care if it's a FISBA, a just listed, an internet lead, a door knock out just in the middle of a neighborhood. I don't care. I have never once been worried about the source of your business. You each will design your life that makes you happy, the way you do your business. But man, if you really, really figure out where you're going, you can walk into every listing appointment, every buyer appointment with this unwavering confidence because you know where you're going. When you sit down with a recruit, as an example, or Jason is, where are you going? Is it just to get to know them? My objective always was this. You're either going to sign up or we're going to set a coaching appointment. And we're going to do one of those two things before you walk out of here, assuming we want the agent. Now, if we don't want the agent, like Lynn's just a few days ago, spent like 12 minutes with someone and said, thank you very much, you're probably not the right fit here. I mean, that happens. But I only have, that is my objective, to set the appointment. Huh?
Everybody looks at me.
Well, if you're here, that means we wanted you, right, Taylor? I mean, even you. I mean, right? I don't know why I always I'm drawn to pick on him, Mario. I just love the guy.
You're still out.
Right? Okay, so just remember, and then the third, right? So we don't forget, and I've been talking about it. By the way, I was given a hard time because I said 3 things. I only gave 2 things at the summit. I just want to make sure I clarify, Evan. It was commitment, and then the 2 things, even though I don't think I said the word, was discipline and creativity. So the reason why I'm bringing that up, those are the 2 words or 3 words: commitment, creativity, discipline. That's how you know someone's committed, right? But number 3 is I'm just going to put here the word. I'm going to put here execution. There's lots of other ways. Like John, I think, mentioned integrity, right? Do what you say you're going to do. But that's how you have confidence. I mean, think about this. Imagine that if you started your day with a magnitude of gratitude, emotionally, mentally, physically, you showed your gratitude, you felt gratitude, you thought about what you're grateful for, then you got really clear. Where am I going? Boy, I'm setting an appointment, man. No matter what happens today, this will happen. Some of you are like, well, I hope I set an appointment. That is not, no one can be led or lead their own life effectively with that wishy-washiness. So what will happen just even today, right? Or like Tim and I back there learned, we were talking about, hey, you know what? You helped me wrap my mind around the fact of my goal this year. Because I realized I got real overwhelmed by it because I'm trying to really elevate my income. But if you start looking at the huge goal instead of wait, what do I just need to do today? And what do you need to do today, Tim, to make you hit your goal?
Just focus on today.
And what's the one thing you need to do today? I know you, because we talked about it, sitting in a coaching session.
Set an appointment.
Set an appointment. Everything that Tim wants to have happen for 2020 happens if he just sets one appointment, 240 days in a year. Do it for 42 weeks, essentially a year. Take 2.5 months off, Lila, and it almost all happens for Tim. All right? 2.5 months.
Yes.
He can play pickleball every single day.
Every day.
Okay? I saw a hand somewhere. Oh, yeah.
I was just going to say, I've been listening to Jed Blunt and re-listening to Fanatical Prospecting. If you guys haven't read it, it's a great book.
That is a great book.
He was saying, yesterday, if you think that having one source of business is going to create you more income, he's like, you're asking for suicide in your business. And then today's message that I listened to was more or less, he said, if your pipeline is dry, don't lie to yourself and point blame at other things because you've taken time off from actually prospecting.
Right.
And it's just interesting to even for myself, kind of reevaluating and going, oh, okay, yeah. If your pipeline's dry, you haven't been prospecting.
So yesterday, I don't know, 9:30 at night, Tyler Higgins up there in Centerville, he gave me some lame excuse as to, I can't remember what it was. I didn't even read the rest of the excuse, so I don't remember what it was. And I put in big bold letters, feed the machine. If you can't feed the machine, it will never. You could be the Lamborghini of life. If you don't put gasoline into it, it will never drive. It'll look good, but you'll never feed it. And it'll never go because you didn't feed it. You've got to put gasoline. So look, just execute to the best of your ability. I promise you that if today you said, this is what I'm going to do, and you did it, and you actually did what you said you were going to do, your confidence will notch up just a little bit. Put a few days together of what you said you're going to do, you get a little more confident. Take a lot of days together, you'll get really confident. They'll be like, who do they think they are? You didn't think you were anything. You just all of a sudden, you start carrying this aura of confidence, this energy that flows through you because you're living a life that is grateful, you know where you're going, and you're doing what you said you're going to do. And again, I go back to it seems so simple to talk about. And it is really simple to do because we actually complicate it. But I'm telling you, if you do that, you will have unwavering confidence. That's why you can get really confident going to a seminar. You might walk out of here, I hope you do, walk out with, yeah, I feel a lot more confident. And you probably will because all of a sudden you start seeing the vision. Man, where am I going? Okay, I know where I'm going. But then you come back out of the meeting or out of the seminar, out of the conference, out of the summit, out of a base camp, out of a morning ascent, and then you go back to, oh gosh, I don't know if it's going to work. Oh, well, I can't do this. I got to return these emails. I'm working on my deal. I got to work my deal. My deal. I can't prospect. they've texted me. I must return the text like in a millisecond of returning the text that they text back. I've always got to be available. I just want to point out, do any of you ever go, who goes and sees a movie at least once a year in a theater? Do you answer your phone and return text? Are you that person throughout the entire movie doing that? So if you can sit aside and watch the next Harry Potter, the next Star Wars for 2 hours, can you not shut off your phone and prospect for 2 hours? What do you think about that? If you're capable of seeing a movie and not looking at your phone, what do? Oh, sorry, I wasn't able to return your call really quickly. I was in a movie. Can you not say, hey, I wasn't able to return your call real quick. I was generating opportunities that might possibly sell your house. I was prospecting. What do you need? But someone else is like, got to work my deal. Got to be available 24/7, 7 days a week. If I'm sleeping, I'm returning your call immediately. I mean, like, what are you thinking? It's not a business. It's a disaster. Right? So you want confidence. This is all about presenting. Know where you're going. Remain grateful. Show your gratitude. Feel gratitude. Think about your gratitude. And then execute to the best of your ability. Will you perfectly do it? No! But I can promise you that the more you execute, just even assembling, people go, well, I don't know if I get enough out of this meeting. Or, that's not really, I always say this meeting isn't even about that. Most of the confidence that comes from this meeting is that you got here at a certain time and you did what you said you were going to do and you stopped worrying about every piece of content that comes out of this meeting. This is about executing at a high level. This is about reigning your life with confidence because you showed up where you said you were going to be, despite whatever content exists, despite whether or not you were like levitating as you walked out of here because it was so great. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant because, again, it breeds confidence if you execute. And I'm telling you, that's interesting for a new licensee. This is what they do. They don't even know what they have to fear, so they haven't all lined it all up, what they're scared of. They actually don't have all this disbelief of, and someone said you should set an appointment, and they go, oh, okay, I'll set one. And then they start executing. They actually start making calls. And then what happens is this. Someone tells them, oh, you're doing far more than what most people do when they first start. You're really doing good. Most people, and then they start getting in this head going, what do you mean most people don't do what I'm doing? Well, they start going down this whole path of fear, and then they start thinking, oh, then they got a few deals, so then they stopped executing, and then they got it all figured out, so they stopped showing up and going where they're supposed to go, don't know where they're supposed to go, and then they forget gratitude because they're just swept into all this fear of what might never happen, that never does happen, but they're scared of it. It's crazy, the destruction of a new licensee, of what happens. So, just again, if you want to build that confidence, man, you make sure that you're executing, you have tremendous gratitude, and you know where you're going. It is the killer to the soul to not know where you're going. Gosh, look, there may be a day that you retire, like maybe from not selling real estate, but man, you better have a freaking plan. I'll come kick the crap out of you because you better not just die. You know, I don't care whether you retire at 65 and then you're buried at 90 because you died. That is like hell on earth, not knowing where you're going. Just my opinion, Taylor.
I like it. I appreciate it.
Humbly said. Humbly said. All right. We doing okay, Amy? I didn't even see you over there. I see you again. I haven't even got to pick on you yet.
I know.
All right.
Maybe we can have it.
All right. All right. Here we go. Questions. We're going to talk about them, right? So look.
At the front?
Pardon?
Can you imagine how much I get?
I know. Well, I'd be spitting on you. She always gets mad at me if I get. She goes, "You just spit on me." I'm sorry. Don't get so close to me. You know, because I'm little passions coming out. All right. Number one. All right. I call this yes or no questions. I just want to give you what I consider just 3 little areas, right? Yes or no questions. Do you want to stay home? Yes. Okay, we can ask all these yes or no questions. Do you want to buy a home? Yes. No. Right, but great. We all know yes and no questions. Not much time. Then we have what we call open-ended. So it could be as simple as, Hey, where are you moving to? Hey, I'm moving to Phoenix. Great, what's taking you there? Open-ended question. New job. And we'll think, oh, well, that's what the script said. That's enough. So great. How much do you want to sell your home for? I mean, you just go to the next question. I want to remind you that the emotion is in between whatever questions you're asking in a script. I'm telling you, the emotion is in between those two. So the third, what I've always called it, is this, and that is it's the emotional questions. And what we're really trying to do is we're trying to get to, I'm just going to put here again, a little heart. We're trying to get to their emotion. We're trying to get to their heart. We're trying to get to their fear. We're trying to get to their things that are, that are most important to them, like what they want their life to really be. And I just hope that you're recognizing that as you go through questions. And so look, we have enough open-ended questions. We know enough yes or no questions. But the reason why years ago is just developing these questions, and there's nothing really fancy about them other than I just know, frankly, that they work. And if I ask the questions like this, it seems like it always works. So let's just rip through these over the next 5 minutes. Just want to write them up, and we'll spend more time going really through them, because we're not going to have a lot of time to go through them. But I want to just remind you that you may say, oh, I've heard this before. Oh, George has talked about this, or Jason's talked about it. But are you really communicating this way, right? So my first one always is help me understand. Now, if you're in my office and I start off with that, that means there's probably a problem, and I'm trying to figure out why you're being so dumb. But I mean, I'm just saying, right? Like, I'm like, help me understand. Like, why are you not prospecting? My mind going, what the are they doing? But I want to know your reason, because here's the deal. On questions, I'm just going to write this up here. You cannot effectively, oh my gosh, am I spelling that right? Is that close enough? Is there an E in there? Joanna, where are you? You're my great Marion. You always corrected me. You help me. There is an E there, right? Effective E-Y?
Effectively. L-Y.
L-Y, just L-Y? All right. Why am I, this doesn't matter. This doesn't have anything to do with making money. Just trying to look good, Nikki. I'm just trying to look like maybe I know what I'm doing.
That scribble mark helps.
That's right. You cannot effectively, here's the deal. What, go ahead.
Just scribble it. And
There we go. You cannot effectively do this, though. Confront without understanding what they want or where they're going. So some of you will go down the pathway trying to get a reduction of price, or talking to a buyer about why they should be buying this home, and they have completely forgotten why they're buying the home. And they get like fixated on like a home warranty, or they get fixated on the closing date. They get fixated on, 2 days of possession versus maybe 3 days for the possession. And they lose complete focus on, again, going back to this, they forget where they're going. Even the clients forget. Great leaders let people never forget where they're going. Did you hear that, Tim?
Yes.
Great leaders never let people forget where they are going. Almost forgot what I said. That's scary. Okay. All right. So help me understand. Number 2. Share with me.
Can I add something to that last
Absolutely, please.
I just was thinking about this when you were just saying it, about how we think confrontation always is difficult, but it's not always difficult. Sometimes it's a relief to
Yeah.
our customers, and even having a confrontation where you acknowledge some discomfort your customer's having, and they realize, oh, this is a normal discomfort, makes them feel better, and you can move forward.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something about the money or about where they're moving, or just whatever their pain point is, and you go, yeah, people always feel like that, we're gonna get through it together, but it's totally normal. And then the people are like, okay. happy to
So
do
let's
this.
give real life examples, right? Like, has anyone ever had it in their life where either you were mad that someone wasn't around, or the person who you are closest with is mad that you're not around? Does anybody have that? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Meaning you're not home enough, or they're not home enough, or where were you? And it's just, let's think about this. So just in real life, the person gets all fired up. Maybe it was you. Where are you? Where are you? Why aren't you here? And yet the reality is, it's not even about the fact the person's not there. That's not even, so it's not even about the home warranty. It's not about the possession date. It's not about the exact closing date. I want you to remember that. Because really what it's about, you're not home. Oh, what I'm really saying is, but I don't want to say this. Oh, I miss you. I wish you were here because I love you. We can't say that. It's always like, where were you? Why weren't you here? You should be home. And we're not even focusing on the right stuff. But if you're a great leader, and if you take a step back and just breathe and become a little bit aware, you begin to realize, wait a second. Well, I better ask some better questions. Hey, share with me why it's important, or share with me what's important about me being home. Well, man, that's a whole interesting, different conversation. Because now they have to say, no, I can just hear people say in my life, well, I'm not telling you that. like as if now I can't really tell you why I'm ticked off. Because what I'd have to say is, I miss you. Oh, wait, the real emotion. I want to be around you. So when you think about just real life, this isn't again, I go back to some rah-rah, let's try to pull something over and manipulate someone into stupidness or into some crazy path. We're talking about real communication here. We're talking about that when you want to confront someone, it's really getting down to, what do you understand? Hey, share with me more. Wait, what's important about that? Which is the next one. And Timber, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, well, it's just the idea of vulnerability. People think that if they stay guarded, then they're protecting themselves when really they can't connect with others until they're vulnerable. And so when you give people an opportunity to kind of break that guard down, then you can connect with them. But if you stay vulnerable, then you're just always at odds.
Yeah.
I mean, if you stay guarded, you're always at odds.
Yeah. I mean, as somebody yesterday said, we all think that someone's trying to get us, but no one's trying to get you.
This is literally living with my 10-year-old.
Right.
She's
Right.
just like this.
We're always trying to protect. But look, we're wired to protect ourselves every single minute. But the thing that's interesting is that as a kid, you learn to protect yourself. And as an adult, what's weird is you try to figure out how to not always be protecting yourself. Because the beauty of life is that when you are vulnerable, right? When you are open, when you aren't have all your walls and barriers and protections up, that's a pretty tough life. And we've all come from, we learn how to protect ourselves. And as we get older, hold on a second, what am I even fighting against? What am I trying to protect myself against? Wait a second. Wait, the quality of life I really want is when it's all that vulnerability, right? That openness, right?
Also, I mean, with clients and with the team, people understand whether they read you if you're sincere or not. If what you're saying to them, you really care, and that connection you're making with them, whether you are connecting with them because you want to build them up to be what you see them as and you want to build that confidence, or when you're out selling real estate, building that relationship with those people that you're sitting down with and understanding where they're coming from. I mean, they'll be a referral for life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It comes down to being sincere.
Right. That vulnerability is interesting because I'm so much of that vulnerability is truly being okay with who we are and not try to be someone we're not. That's my whole point, is that if your personal life can, in so many words, be transparent in so many words to what your business life is, people say, oh no, they're all different. The only thing different is in my personal life, I'm probably a little more intense. If you think this is intense, be my daughter. It's a whole other level of expectation. I mean, it just really is. I mean, right? So the point is that if I followed you around the rest of this week, would it be the same person who showed up with me the rest of this week on your personal side of your life as it would be the person who shows up at the next buyer appointment or seller's appointment or listing appointment? Only you can answer that. But I can tell you, man, life's a lot better when you're not trying to hide your life. That you just get to live it because it's who you're being, with your client. Here's another way to say it. If your client saw what you did all day, would they still want to list with you? If your client saw what you did as an agent and would they still want to buy a home with you? Would they be proud of the fact that this is my agent, not only when they're in my home, not even when they're out showing me property, but also when I watch them walk through their life, this is someone I want to align with? You're not going to fake the fact that the person who is the person in real life and then the person who shows up, I'm telling you, you think you might pull it over on a few, you might make a living, but you will never get to grand scales of success if you don't match your personal life with what your business life is. I'm just telling you, you can't. And people feel it. The person at the front, all of a sudden their life behind the scenes isn't in alignment. Something doesn't feel right. And we can compartmentalize it, we can ignore it, we can say, well, it doesn't really matter to me what they do on the other side of their life. They're helping me in this part. You can do that. For me, I'm done living that part of my life. I'm not going to follow people that I'm not in alignment with. Not only from their personal side, but to their business side. I choose not to do that. And for me, that was a big step. I know some of you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to do that. And I know both sides of that person's life extremely well. And I refuse to say that that's what I'm going to follow today. I just won't.
You know, last night when I was sitting down with the buyer, I showed her what I do with my day, this, and she says, "You do all that?" I says, "Yep, I do." And she was pretty excited about working with me
Of course.
because she saw what
Someone who had a standard, who had integrity, who lived a life of discipline. It's awesome. Okay. Number 4, so we get through these, we got to wrap up. Number 4 is share with me a little bit more about that. Hey, share with me just a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish. Share with me a little bit more about the home you want to buy. Share a little bit more with me about what you want to do as you sell this home. Just share with me a little bit more of what you're trying to accomplish. Number 5, simple question is there anything else? Am I missing anything? And then just a little asterisk down here, and that is you're going to summarize. And that summary is what I hear or see or think you are saying is. So let me just demonstrate. Apologies, I know my writing is not very good, but hey, help me understand this. Share with me a little more about that. That's great. Hey, so share with me a little more about the home you want to buy. Oh, we want it to be 3-bedroom, 2 baths. Hey, share a little more about that with me. Great. Hey, what's most important about buying that home? Oh, well, this is where we want to raise our family. What else is important? Hey, is there anything else? Share with me just a little bit more about that. Is there anything else? A little bit more. Is there anything else? And finally, they're going to go, no. Okay, so what I hear you saying or what I believe you're saying, or what I think you're saying, or what I see with what you've told me is you want the new home. You want it in this area. You want to raise your kids. You want to have your children go to this school. Is there anything else? I'm telling you, if you can get to that type of depth of understanding of the person on the other side of the table, the buyer or the seller, it is a whole different experience. I would just challenge you to take 1 or 2 questions in any script and then get deep into it emotionally and see what can happen. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. We're out of time, Taylor. But the good news is you and I are going to have 2.5 days together on February 4th, 5th, and 6th. Aren't you excited about that?
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. All right, guys. We're going to rock this thing. And I don't know if you know this, every single night this week. If I look tired, Lila, it's because I am tired. Because every single night I've been here until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I'm telling you what we've been